this is Mega Man Model T here, doing my first proper Let's Play after all these years of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis for the PC. Now, I had done a non-commentary run of this a couple years ago with the PS1 version, but now I want to actually do a proper LP of it while doing it legit and not using any of the unlocks. I won't be doing hard mode, I'll be doing easy mode, and I'll be attempting to do 2 runs of this, but at least only this first one will be commentated, the other one probably won't be, so that's the general ideas. And this here is using the PC Restoration Project patch, which I'll have linked to in the description, because the PC version was missing some voice files in some spots and even music tracks in certain areas, which was just weird. So this here restores those, and it also ups the FMV quality quite a bit. So let's begin.
Resident Evil.
It all began as an ordinary day in September. An ordinary day in Raccoon City. A city controlled by Umbrella. No one dared to oppose them, and that lack of strength would ultimately lead to their destruction. I suppose they had to suffer the consequences of their actions, but there would be no forgiveness. If only they had had the courage to fight. It's true that once the wheels of justice begin to turn, nothing can stop them. Nothing. It was Raccoon City's last chance, and my last chance. My last escape.
This is Chopper Delta, preparing to drop off at area E95070. Over.
What are they?
Waiting orders. Over. All units proceed to Richmond and Victoria. All right.
Let's do it. Let's move. Go, 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 go. Fire! Come and get it. Son of a... Don't give up. There are too many. Don't hold back. No! Where are they? Where did they come from? It's pointless. Take this! Die! You want some more?
I will say, aside from the brief still image opening with Jill, it's a little bit odd that we didn't see her in the very first FMV of the game, but at least we won't have too long to wait for that. Yeah, it does actually take a little bit to get into the main scene, because the fact is, like, this here is just a very scripted first portion.
September 28th, daylight. The monsters have overtaken the city. Somehow, I'm still alive. Okay, we've got to get out of here.
What? What do you think you're talking about? I just lost my daughter out there! How dare you tell me to go back outside?
I'm I'm sorry about your daughter, but there isn't gonna be any rescue. We have to get out of here.
No! I'm not going anywhere. I'd rather starve to death in here than be eaten by one of those undead monsters! Now leave me alone! I told you! I'm not leaving! Never! Just get away from me.
Yeah, that last line of dialogue where he says to get away, that actually was cut for whatever reason, so that there's one of the first major instances aside from the FMV sequence on where the restoration project is doing its work. The only thing it wasn't able to correct is the lack of screen shake in certain areas, but other than that, it's basically perfect. And yeah, I hate to say it, bud, but you don't really last very long. As we'll find out later. Dang it. But yeah, even though I'm not very good at the hard mode specifically for this game, but otherwise I still really enjoy it. But one other thing to at least observe is that while I won't be doing any quote-unquote Nemesis hunting like I did in my previous run. I'm going to be specifically avoiding him, which creates a whole new feel and dynamic for the game, which I had almost forgotten about for years. Bring it. Ominous tone setting in a sense. Yeah, this of the Resident Evil trilogy of the initial 3 games that released before Code Veronica, I will say that technically this one, this 2, and then the first one, but specifically the DS port of the first game because that one makes it to the best version. And the progression in this game is a little bit different than the other ones because of the fact that those technically start you out in a kind of a hub spot while gradually branching out. This one actually has you more or less progress forward and then do a little bit of backtracking, but not yet actually do anything substantial just yet. Yikes. I really dislike the sprinters. I really do. Man, easy mode, it gives you several weapons within the storage box already with a lot of ammo. And also, it also gives you all the inventory options rather than later, because like after you reach a specific point, your inventory increases. But at this point in the game, it would be exceptionally small, so I'm a bit more accustomed to playing on easy mode for regular play in order to be able to get the stuff that I want when I want to get it. And hopefully nobody sprints. Oh, of course there's one sprinter. But if I'm fast enough, that won't be too much of an issue. And it's weird on how the sprinters work because they're randomized, but then there are times on where they won't be sprinting initially, but then end up sprinting anyway. Come on. And perfect. That was a close one. It was a good thing it was only just the one and not 2 or 3 of them, because then that would have made getting down from the fire escape a whole lot more awkward. But I was able to circumvent that, thankfully.
Get away!
I won't be wasting any ammo here, but I'll be trying to help Brad just a little bit. If I can do more shows, that would be preferable. It at least gave the illusion I was on.
Brad, hang in there. Why isn't someone doing something about this?
I didn't know you were still alive, Jill. The police aren't trained for this kind of situation. What could they do? Listen, he's coming for us. We're both gonna die.
What are you saying?
You'll see. He's after STARS members. There's no escape.
Yeah, this is where I have to give points to the original here versus the remake, because while indeed Nemesis is plastered all over the marketing for the game at least actually, when you're actually playing it, builds him up rather than going right into him, basically. I mean, also another technical note between the PS1 and PC versions is that for the PS1 versions, each time it has to play an audio file for a voice dialogue, it has to load for like a split second or so. It's absolutely absent in the PC version, so the power saves go a lot faster. Let's see how well we can do this. Trick is to get these guys funneled in. Allow the others to get closer because they're stuck behind the crawlers. Still have to expend 2 extra shots to take care of these guys. And it's rare for it to occur, but once in a while, if you end up having to pull up the exploding barrel before using the lighter, it'll actually burn the rope without having to use the lighter. But you need the lighter for the later part of the game anyway, so it's an oddball quirk. But still, it's like, yeah. Lucky to take him down in one. Nope. Had to be 2. But if I take on one of them and it's a single shotgun shell, I prefer that. And this is a rather cramped save room compared to the other one that we were in previously. They have a very specific method of sorting out the items at this stage of the game after been practicing it for a bit. Because I know which items I need and don't need. And most of the pickups in the game are set, but then there are certain ones that are actually randomized. Because if they don't appear in one area, they'll end up appearing in another. And at this point, we technically had no idea where we're technically going besides pressing forward. But at this point, with this door locked with a simple lock, we have to actually head over to the police station, which is this way, to actually retrieve Jill's lockpick from the first game, basically. Though it's not the exact same one, but still.
Jill!
Brad!
We've got to... Jill! Help!
going to fight with him, we really just want to run away. He didn't do the specific move I was expecting him to do, but it still delayed him enough. Because getting Brad's cart off him means that we shorten our trip to the police station a bit, because otherwise we'll need Jill's card in order to do what we're going to do next. Yeah, it's actually, if you wait just a couple seconds or so, Nemesis will actually stop pounding on the door and leave, but Jill will not want to go out there still. 4011. Which helps actually make the air really tense after that, because it's like, well, where did he go? It's odd that he would be so aggressive and then just leave. I don't quite like this configuration of zombies, but I'll deal with it. Yeah, one observation I have to make is that for whatever reason, most zombies that are already laying on the ground take a lot of abuse. I mean, like, they just take an obscenely large number of shots compared to the standing ones. And yeah, I have to note that the difficulty doesn't specifically change how tough the enemies are. They're still tough, it's just that you're given a little bit more to work with. Celebrity over St. Marvin, and I have no idea how to pronounce his last name, sadly. Yeah, this is Marvin's report. Reports December 24th. There are reports of a theft in the municipal building before dawn. A jewel-decorated clock at the main gate was damaged. 2 of the 12 gems that are installed in the face of the clock are missing. Due to lack of available officers at this time, I have no choice but to suspend the research of this case. Signed, Marvin. Report December 26th. Based upon an autopsy report of a 42-year-old restaurant owner, I discovered that he has one of the missing gems. He apparently took shelter in the police department at about 10 a.m., where he was shot to death within 10 minutes of having developed the symptoms. Since the city is currently under martial law, we are forced to suspend this case. This time, we'll keep the gem as evidence. Signed, Marvin. Yeah, I realized I got to pick up something, but never mind. But yeah, there's a clue on where we have to a puzzle that's going on, and the said gem is actually stored right here. And it's better to pick it up now rather than on the ouch trip. So here's one safe that we had open, which is the stars key. If you wanted to see that, it's the stars emblem. Well, though it's pretty obvious from how it looks already. So yeah, it's like rough timeline-wise on when this game takes place is technically, well, obviously it's after the first game, but otherwise it technically takes place just before the events of Resident Evil 2. It's just that technically for game mechanic purposes, a lot of the areas that we could theoretically be exploring in the station right now are blocked off because Jill isn't supposed to go in those areas. Gunpowder out of there. Now, is there something extra in here? No. I'm not sure if there was, but I know there's something right here. David's memo. Sanity is at its end. I still can't believe this is happening. Lost another man yesterday. Mayor, one of our better marksmen. Sally panicked was overrun by the zombies, but he came back to save me. But when the time came to return to death, I ran. I still can hear him calling out my name. I can still hear the screams from behind. The sound of his voice being stripped from its bones. I was afraid, terrified. It's the 27th. The fight to stay alive continues. I took out several zombies who managed to break through the barricades. Now I'm cutting through the chill with whiskey. I'm loading my Mosenberg on anything undead. That shotgun becomes a close friend of mine. I've lost many a zombie into fertilizer with it. We lost 13 men as of yesterday. 3 hours will bicker over trivial things in the meeting room. Total waste of time. When I finish this bottle, my old friend Mosenberg will be turning the last one last bite of fertilizer. He's the last. Hard to wait. Yeah, that's a bit of a depressing one. He literally blew his head off. Yeah, one thing to note is that thing to do is that if you mix the gunpowders A, or make ammo out of the gunpowders A and gunpowders B 7 times, you end up getting enhanced rounds. And I'm aiming to get those as fast as possible because they are indeed better than the default rounds. And I prefer this configuration to this room. Because otherwise you have to wait for at least most of the zombies to funnel down the stairs. And instead, bulk of them are down this corridor, which makes it a whole lot easier to deal with. Granted, contending with them at the stairs, while manageable, it's pretty time consuming because you have to wait for them to meander over close enough to the top of the stairs where you can then shoot at them. And let's see if this configuration was nice enough. Dang it, they're not here. Yeah, there's typically red herbs there, but this time they weren't. So we head into the STARS office, which is where you typically have to go into in order to progress the plot a bit. But in this case, we're finding some ammo, a lockpick, and a weapon type. And in this case, it was the Magnum, because the Magnum and grenade launcher switched places. This facts real quick. Back from Kendo Gun Shop. The boys of STARS have some good news for you. From my brother Joe. He has finalized a new handgun for official use. It's the M92F, STARS Special, but he calls it the Samurai Edge. It's the most balanced of the Kendo custom guns. Joe said if you miss a target with this, you should carry a teething ring instead of a gun in your holster. The goods will be delivered along with their proper documentation. I'm sure you'll be surprised when you see what kind of excellent parts are used for this M92F. I know that you'll want to thank the good people who developed it. Seriously, Robert Kendo Gun Shop. Yeah, that's the guy from who you encounter at the start of 2.
No! Come anyone! Our platoon is cut off! No survivors found! This is Carlos! Send in support immediately!
And that was technically the second main character of the game, or at least secondary protagonist. And so, technically with that call in mind, we're off to try and find him. Giving us a little bit more direction of what to do. And yeah, when you hear a crash like that, obviously trouble's brewing. Yeah, Nemesis pretty much left to retrieve a rocket launcher to come at us because clearly he didn't quite know how to initially deal with somebody just running away from him. And you do not want to end up going on the other side of those filing cabinets because otherwise he comes into the room and it's very bad considering how tight the room is. You can't really avoid him. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm pretty much stockpiling a good bulk of the health items. Like grabbing every single herb that I can. In this case, these will all have to go into the chest because if there was 2 red herbs in that passage like I was hoping there was going to be, I would at least have more full heals. But now I have to... Oh yeah, at this point, we're going to be doubling back to the official beginning area, then back into that warehouse where we officially start, because something has changed there at this specific point. And which is more or less gives us access to more of the gunpowders. First, I have to change up our equipment. Put all these herbs in here. And then we'll be taking out the shotgun. And swap off this there. Now we might as well keep the mixer on hand for now because otherwise, it's best to keep that thing in the item box and not carry it with you because it takes up necessary space. This game requires a little bit more... It feels like it requires a little bit more inventory management than some of at least that's 2 for 1. Ooh, another 2 for 1. Yeah, going for the headshots is the most typically the more efficient route to go with the shotgun because it means that it should hopefully take care of the zombies in one shot rather than possibly expend multiple shots doing it. Clear the way a bit. Yeah, a friend of mine will like this, but you said they cannot say this random woman that ends up running into the streets at this particular point. Granted, she ends up running through there earlier, but the trigger doesn't occur until you go through that specific door. Right now I'm doing something else to set something up for later. There you are. Now if you go this way, that triggers that door to start to fall off. Figure I've triggered that now, so I don't have to maneuver too much. But it's time to head back into the warehouse. Yeah, for whatever reason, because if you come out here earlier, he specifically wasn't coming out to try and help, but for whatever reason, he decided to leave the confines of his trailer for whatever reason, and he got himself completely jumped and mauled. But yeah, this is where you can get a lot of... These here are always set from what I can tell. Yeah, Dario's memo. can't but wonder if anyone will read these words. Writing them will help me maintain my sanity, if nothing else. After I become a meal for those undead monsters, will the GIs responsible for sealing off the town laugh upon discovering my corpse? So, is this how it's supposed to end? I don't want to die. I'm just not ready. My wife, daughter, mother, my entire family has been killed. But none of that matters anymore. Right now, my life is the only important thing. That's all that matters. I never would have pictured my end to be like this. I had so much left to do. Rather than becoming a salesman, I should have tried my hand at being a novelist. It's what I've always wanted, but my mother would only tell me you have a long way to go. Why did I ever listen to her? Well, this looks like the end for the great Dario Rosso, novelist extraordinaire, cut down before his prime. So it's hard to say if he actually committed suicide in a weird way, because I don't know, it's hard to rationalize why he would literally come out of his trailer only to get devoured. And he can't do anything with his corpse beyond just look at it, technically. He can't interact with it. But since we're here, we're going to make a brief stop into the save room to take care of our inventory. And then call it a part here, because we've been going for a decent bit. Yeah, these help substantially in getting us towards the enhanced ammo for everything before we reach a specific point of the game. Not quite the end game, but still, it's worth it. It's worth noting. Swap you out for that. And that'll do it for now. See you in the next one.